On the Record with Tiffany and my special guest, the Honorable Joe Gonzales. I love saying the Honorable Joe Gonzales because I think it is a true statement. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the domestic violence issue because when Judge Rosie Gonzales was speaking at a women's event, and of course it's 100-year anniversary of women's suffrage, and we're about to enter a major election. So I'm always excited to promote the idea of women voting, because regardless of what side you are voting on, it is important as an American, as a woman, and for all the people that stood before us, that we exercise the right to vote. It's very important. But when she was talking about the domestic violence court, one of the things that she said, which shocked me, was that often the women who were being abused would come in, or the person who was being abused would come in and say, oh, I still love this individual. I still love him. I still love my boyfriend, or husband. And they started thinking, okay, we're gonna have to, and the women were saying they still loved him and they wanted them to be different. I just wish it would be better, and I'm gonna stay here, and would stay and endure the same thing. And the judges started thinking, okay, we gotta think in a different way. So let's see what we can put together, and let's get with community partners and figure out programs that empower this abuser to change, right, and inspires the abuser to change. And that was like, when I heard that, I was like, what? What are you talking about? Like, because my thinking had always been, if somebody's doing something like that, that's it. We know where this is going. But that shift in thinking, what does that produce?
Well, I'll tell you what it's produced is again, an aspect of reform. Again, she's one of those judges that is willing to be an innovator. She's one of those judges that is thinking outside the box. Yeah. Because a lot of times you do have relationships that, for whatever reason, the perpetrator and the victim do not want to end. A lot of times they do love each other, and so what you're talking about is she's created what's called the Reflejo Court. She came up with that name herself. Reflejo is Spanish for reflection, and so the idea is to look again to see if let's treat the root of the problem, whether it be a drug addiction, alcoholism, anger management, whatever the problem is, to see if we can do something to keep them from just becoming recidivists, keep them from having to come back. Because I will tell you that part of the most frustrating part to our prosecutors in the Family Violence Division, and those are the prosecutors handling the misdemeanor domestic violence cases, and then if it graduates to a felony, then you get to the felony level, then you're dealing with the family violence prosecutors who are then potentially looking to send you to prison. So what we're doing is trying to see what we can do to change that conduct. But I started to say, what is the most frustrating thing for us is when we get ready to go to trial, when we get ready to go to court, we reach out to the victims to try and get their cooperation. Sometimes they disappear on us. Sometimes they don't return phone calls. Sometimes they ignore our subpoenas because their attitude is, look, I'm not gonna testify against my spouse or my significant other, because if he gets convicted and goes to jail or to prison, we lose our home. We lose his paycheck. My kids don't eat. My kids don't get fed. They don't get clothed. They can't go to school. And so I'm not going to help you. And so a lot of times we are forced to have to dismiss cases or come up with alternatives rather than just dismiss the case because we can't get the cooperation of the victim.
But the financial tie and the emotional tie to the perpetrator has always been a big problem with domestic violence, and the fact that that the judge thought outside of the box and thought, okay, because I know that was a hard.
Sure.
That was a hard decision to make.
Sure.
Because, you don't want to see anyone being abused.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking, let's try and reform and help the person who was victimizing another person. That's not typical thinking, but in this case, in the case of abuse, it has been beneficial to the victim,
Right.
to try and change what's happening with the perpetrator.
Well, sure, but there has to be buy-in from the perpetrator himself. He's got to be willing to change. I say he. Sometimes it's a she.
That's right. That's right. That's why I was like the person. But that's the beauty of the program, is that you are. It's on you. The onus is on the person who committed that crime. Are you going to change? We're giving you the opportunity to change. We're not going to make it easy for you to change. Your butt better change, because you've got some things that you got to do.
And we're going to get to it eventually, but that's the philosophy behind cite and release. Is there's some skin in the game
That's
on your
right.
side. So,
Get in the game, because it's called personal responsibility.
right.
God dog it, you should have some skin in it.
Right.
We cannot tell people that Joe Gonzales is going to come in and he's going to change everything and help you, and all you have to do is just sit there and look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, that's
right.
not how life works. That's not how life works. You have to change. And if you don't want to change, this ain't the program for you.
Right, because we're gonna work with you when you're at the misdemeanor level, and the victim wants to cooperate and help you. But if you get to the felony level, and some of our senior prosecutors are looking at serious offenses, then at that point we may not be as accommodating. We may not be as generous, and we may now be looking for prison time.
But remember, you've already been generous. You've already accommodated. You've already given opportunity. That is the most that one can expect. The system is giving you the opportunity to change.
That's correct.
This is not a corrupt system. This system, with our courts, is giving you opportunity, programs, by a bipartisan creation of programs and opportunities for people to change. But the onus is on the individual to change.
Absolutely. It's true.
It's on the individual to change, and it always will be when it comes down to crime and addiction. That's something that has to come from within, a change that has to come from within. Like I say this, I've never had an issue with crime, but I did have an issue with food, which is very much an addiction issue when it comes down to food. I weighed 340 pounds. And to look at me now, you would not know that. But that was 10 years ago. And in order to change, what I had to do was accept the fact that the reason I weighed 340 pounds was me. It was what I was putting in my mouth. And if I wanted to be a different woman, and what my catalyst for change was my little pumpkin pie, my little girl, when my husband and I found out that we might be able to adopt Ernie, I was like, I'm going to be the woman that God meant for me to be. God's giving me another chance. I need to take advantage of that chance, and when he gives you another chance, you do what you need to do in order to live up to what he's given you, you know, and that's the same kind of change that a person has to make on the inside. And that wasn't easy. I thought, oh, I'll have to unplug from television for a little while, you know, change, you know, what I'm eating. I had to unplug from television for 3.5 years to change what was happening in here, inside my head, and how I related to food and saying no to people before I felt like, you know, the weight started coming off, but I had to change my thinking to keep it off. There was nothing there's not a magic pill. And I've tried every magic pill. I've tried weight loss surgery. I've tried it all. The only thing that will keep weight off of you is what's happening in here, because that's what puts it on you. You have to take responsibility for yourself. And I had to do exactly that. That was the only thing that changed me. You know, so I love what y'all are doing by asking people to take personal responsibility, because in anything in this life, that is what is required in order to be successful. Nobody else came in and made you Joe Gonzales. I mean, there were a lot of people that contributed to you becoming the man that you are, but you still had to choose to be that guy. You still had to choose to be that guy. Anyway, you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany. Come back and listen some more, because I have at the full attention of Joe Gonzales, and we're going to take up every minute that we can with the district attorney's office to hear what we are doing. It's a great time to listen, and if you've been feeling like you're a little bit sketchy, feeling unsafe, feeling afraid because there are so many things that are going on that are wrong in our society, come back and listen, because you can hear some things that are going on that are right in our society. And you're listening to On the Record with Tiffany.